and welcome to Songs for the Struggling Artist, the blogcast. This is episode 229, and this blog today is one that I wrote, I believe it was this summer, and it has been waiting for, I guess, just waiting to be called upon. It's kind of slight, sometimes I get into some meaty stuff, and this one is not meaty in any way, and in a world that is just sort of relentless and crazy, and so many things were going on, it just never felt like this sort of lighter little whiff of a blog, and it took a long time to find its moment. And I don't know that the moment that I actually pushed publish on it was the right moment, but I did just at least need to publish a blog, and I hadn't just been writing that much in the period that I finally published it. So I didn't really have any others kind of lined up, and I didn't have any sort of I didn't have quite a few complete and ready to fly when it was time. So I went ahead with this sort of little bit of a thing, a little bit of a thing. I mean, sometimes we need a break, right? So maybe this is exactly the right speed. Who knows? Every moment it changes. Every single moment feels like a wildly different moment. Anyway, I'm going to just lay it on you. It is called It's Really Nothing. On the latest season of Pose, a group of the women go to a beach house. The star of the show stays out late, and when she comes home at dawn, there's a shot of her opening the gate from the beach to the house, and despite the brilliance of the rest of the show, it is this moment that I cannot stop thinking about. Why? Because the gate has a Magna Latch on it. This is a lock that you have to lift at the top to release the gate. It does not look like other locks. I first encountered one at the gate of my friend's pool, and I swear I stood there for 10 minutes trying to figure out how to get in before my friend came to rescue me. This was only a few years ago. I don't know if it's just that I run in different circles than places that usually have Magna Latches, but to me, it was a marvelous modern invention. So when this lock showed up at the beach house on Pose, I had a relationship with it. I fully expected Blanca to be as baffled as I was by the Magna Latch, but instead she just lifted up the top and walked right in as if she'd been unlatching gates like this all her life. But I think the likelihood of a character born and raised in the Bronx who had never been to the ocean before being familiar with a Magna Latch is almost impossible. This character, like me, when confronted with a Magna Latch, wouldn't have had immediate facility. It felt like a false note in the show when she just popped it open. Additionally, these locks were invented in the early 90s when the show takes place, so even if this house was at the vanguard of latch installation, it would be unlikely that a woman from the projects would have knowledge of them. Does it matter? I don't know. I can imagine in the moment of filming it, it made sense to get a shot of her opening the gate and being done with it. Maybe MJ Rodriguez, who plays Blanca, had seen many Magna Latches before and just opened the gate and walked in, cut, print, next scene. In the world of filming, speed is of the essence, and probably no one was worried about the authenticity of a gate lock. They probably didn't think it mattered. But it mattered to me. It took me right out of the show, and then I kept thinking about it. This detail that didn't matter at all, but somehow did. I thought of it every time I lifted the Magna Latch when I returned to my friend's pool where I first encountered it. I suppose it concerns me because it makes me think of all the details I brushed aside when I've made things. The details I was sure no one would notice, the trivial moments I just let go. What this experience showed me is how there's always someone who will notice, for whatever reason. I also can't help trying to imagine how I would have solved this if I were making this show, and I think it's as simple as just skipping the gate opening shot. I'd show her approaching the gate and cut to her walking in. No encounter with modern gate technology necessary. It could have been easily solved. But maybe everyone on the team had extensive Magna Latch experience and could not imagine a person who might be baffled by it. Or maybe they had no experience of that latch at all, and so their brains just glossed right over it. None of it matters. The show is great, regardless. But I'm pretty sure they'd have preferred me to think about it for different reasons than an anachronistic gate lock. Feel free to contact me with all future Magna Latch consulting issues. You wouldn't think I'd go in on a gate latch, would you? I swear, I could not stop thinking about it. I was like, if I don't write about this, I will spend the rest of my life obsessed with the moment where they opened a Magna Latch on the television show Pose. And I was like, this cannot stand. I must be done with this immediately. So this is about a Magna Latch, a little pool latch. I think it's partly just that I think my brain, when it saw her approaching that latch, was like, I can't wait for her to struggle with that latch. Like I was like getting excited about it. It's like when you see like a clown who's like approaching a pie of custard, and you're like, I know what's gonna happen to that pie, and then like the clown just like eats it or something. Like it just feels like I think it felt like a letdown. Like my brain was anticipating a moment that did not arise, and it was disappointed. So, yeah. Details, right? I mean, the details, it does matter. It really does. And when you are on a big old team like that, like maybe somebody noticed it. I mean, I'm sure there are a multitude of details in my work that I don't have any idea about, but I'm only one person and I don't have anybody checking my details. Like if I get it wrong, it's entirely me. Like, and it's very likely that I have gotten a lot of things wrong because I don't like fact check all my work. Anyway, I did fact check what kind of animals live in Montana, though, just in case you were wondering about that. I absolutely did fact check that. Because you know what? Possums don't live in Montana. I thought they did because they are the places that I have lived in North America, but they don't live in Montana. So that's a fact I discovered, and now I share it with you. Tiny detail, but probably important. I mean, so anyway, possums do not live in Montana. That is information that now we all know. So what to tell you? That speaking of that particular question, it comes from the final episode of The Dragoning, which came out today. You'll hear no mention of possums in that final episode. If you haven't listened to the previous ones, I would suggest you do that. They do go in order. So that's out. It's finally complete, and that feels good. So the song for this, I actually chose before I chose the title of the blog. I can't remember exactly how I got there, but I was like, oh, of course. A song about details I think I was looking for, and I or something being kind of inconsequential or trivial, and I somehow ended up on William, It Was Really Nothing by the Smiths, which then led to the title of the blog. I just lifted it right out of the song I was planning for the title, because for a while this post in my, files was called Magna Latch post, which is not a sexy title. It's just not. That's not going to bring me the clicks. Not that It's Really Nothing will either, but at least it sounds more like a title. So anyway, William, It's Really Nothing is coming up on ukulele. Not easy to do. I'm going to not lie about that. It took me a little while. It's a good thing I had this song planned a couple of weeks in advance. That's all I'm saying. So if you like the podcast, thank you. And thank you for listening. And thank you for letting me know when you listen. It is like really seriously makes my day. So thank you. And if you'd like to support it, and you're not already supporting it, the places to do that are patreon.com/EmilyRDavis or Ko-fi or PayPal. All those links are in the show notes. Also in the show notes are links to The Dragoning, if you have not listened to that yet. And I do believe that is all the things. I hope everybody is doing okay. Our numbers are going up here in this country, so take care of yourselves and the people around you, please. Thank you. It is harrowing watching people go through it. I have a friend who lives in Montana, interestingly enough, has just sort of was very public about her sort of moments in the ICU, and it is rough to watch, even from afar. So take care, please. Anyway, on that happy note, thank you again so much for listening. And here is William. It Was Really Nothing.